Warnings. The following broadcast contains high-octane nightmare fuel gathered from the darkest corners of the internet. Keep your eyes on the road. Keep your doors locked. And whatever you do, don't look in the rear-view mirror. You are listening to Grave Shift, 18 Wheels to Hell.
Okay, I want you to picture something for a second. It's 2:00 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the Midwest, let's say Indiana. It's flat, the cornfields are just blackness, and the only thing you see is the patch of asphalt. Your headlights are eating up.
Right.
But you're not in a car. You're in a semi-truck. You're 6 feet off the ground. You're hauling 40 tons of cargo.
And you hear that engine, that low hypnotic drone.
Exactly. It's just you and the white lines.
Yeah.
Mile after mile after mile.
It's a very specific kind of trance. You know, long-haul truckers talk about this. It's almost meditative, but it's also incredibly isolating.
Completely.
You're in this massive machine, surrounded by darkness, just completely disconnected from everyone else sleeping in their beds.
That isolation is the perfect setting for today's deep dive. We're looking at a story that came up on Reddit on the Averners community.
And it's not a ghost story.
No, not at all. Which is maybe why it's scarier. It feels real. It's a user recounting a story from their father, a longtime truck driver, about one night on an Indiana highway.
He called it one of the scariest moments of his life.
Yeah. And we should probably clarify the timeline here, because
Yeah.
I think it matters.
It really does. The post itself is about 5 years old, but the user says this happened to their dad maybe 15, 20 years before that.
So we're looking at, what, the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Maybe late 90s?
Right, which is crucial because no dash cams.
No ubiquitous surveillance, nothing. Just a man, his truck, and whatever happens out there in the dark.
Exactly.
And the source material, it's basically a forensic breakdown of a crime scene where the truck driver became, well, the unwitting weapon. The user calls it a mob execution.
That phrase is interesting, but what I found so fascinating and frankly terrifying is the efficiency of it all.
What do you mean?
We usually think of crime on the highway as, road rage. It's hot, it's emotional, someone gets cut off, tempers flare.
Yeah, a gun gets flashed, something like that.
Exactly. This story is the polar opposite. It is just cold, mechanical, and silent.
Okay, so let's set the scene properly. The user's dad is driving his rig. Nighttime. Indiana. He's cruising along, just doing his job. He's probably been on the road for hours. And then he sees a vehicle coming up alongside him in the passing lane.
A van.
A van, right. And normally, when a car or a van passes a semi, especially at night, they punch it. You want to get out of that blind spot fast.
You do not want to hang out next to those giant tires.
But this van, it doesn't pass.
No. The source says it pulled up and matched his speed. Now let's just pause and think about how hard that actually is for a second.
Is it that hard? I mean, you've got cruise control.
It's harder than you'd think to do it precisely. A semi at highway speed is pushing this massive wall of air. It creates a bow wave, a slipstream.
Ah, okay.
So if you're in a lighter vehicle, like a van, and you pull up right next to the cab and just hold your position, you're fighting turbulence. You're fighting the vacuum that wants to pull you into the trailer.
So to stay perfectly aligned, you have to have a really steady hand.
A very steady hand. This isn't some casual driver. This is someone focusing intently.
And they aren't just sitting in his blind spot. The source is so specific about the positioning. It says they pulled up so that the sliding side door of the van was in front of his truck.
And that geometry, that is the key to this whole thing.
How so?
Well, think about it. If the van driver is parallel with the truck driver, they can look at each other. They can make eye contact.
Right.
They didn't do that. They pushed forward. They put the body of the van, the cargo area, directly in front of the truck's grill while staying in the left lane.
They're lining the cargo bay with the weapon.
When you say weapon, you mean the truck.
I do.
Okay, so the van is just sitting there, surfing the air currents next to this rig. 65 miles an hour. And then, the source says, all of a sudden, the sliding side door opens.
And this is the moment where the physics go from, I guess, difficult to violent.
That's a good word for it. I'm just trying to picture this. You're at highway speed, you slide that huge door back. The wind noise alone must be deafening in that van.
It's not just open the door, it's like fighting a hurricane.
It is. A van isn't aerodynamic to begin with. You open that broadside door, and the wind just catches it like a parachute. The driver isn't just steering anymore. They are fighting the wheel.
Fighting to keep from swerving into the truck or spinning out.
Which means there has to be more than one person in that van.
Oh, absolutely. You can't drive, fight the wind, open the door, and do what they did next all by yourself.
No way. You have a driver who is 100% focused on the road. And you have a team, at least 2 other people, I would bet, in the back.
Because they're not just opening the door for fresh air.
No, they're emptying the trash.
The source says they toss a guy out in front of the truck.
Just let the horror of that land.
It's sickening. It happens in a split second. Door slides open. Body flies out.
And think about the toss. This isn't just pushing something out. To get the body in front of the truck from the lane next to it.
You have to throw it sideways and forward.
Right. You have to time it so the body clears your own vehicle but lands squarely in the truck's lane.
If you mess that up, the body just hits the side of the truck. Or it hits your own van.
Exactly. It requires a frightening amount of coordination. It suggests this wasn't an impulse decision.
No, they didn't just panic and dump a body.
They practiced this, where they knew exactly how the physics would work. They used that van as a delivery system to place a human being directly under the wheels of a 40-ton vehicle.
The source is brutally blunt about what happened next. So he'd get hit, and of course that's what happened.
There's no other outcome possible. A fully loaded semi takes, nearly 2 football fields to start from highway speeds?
Yeah, at least.
The driver's reaction time is maybe 3/4 of a second. By the time his brain even registers person, the impact has already happened.
The driver talks about the sensation. And this is the part that just makes my stomach turn. He didn't just see it, he felt it. The source says he felt sick, especially because he could feel the dude making his way under the truck.
Oof, that visceral detail is what convinces me this story is true. Yeah. Drivers who hit large animals, or, God forbid, people, they rarely talk about the visual gore first. They talk about the thump, the vibration, the steering wheel jerking in their hands.
It's a tactile thing.
It's a tactile connection to the death. You aren't just a witness. The machine you're holding onto is doing the killing.
So imagine being that driver. You finally get the rig pulled over. You're hyperventilating. You're in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. It's pitch black.
And you have to grab your flashlight and walk back down that road knowing what you're going to find.
All the while you're running through it in your head. I just killed a man.
I'm going to jail. My career is over. Who was he? Why did he jump?
That's the logical assumption, right? That he jumped or was pushed during a struggle trying to escape.
You assume that the impact your truck is what finished him.
Yeah.
And that creates this massive psychological burden for the hours he waited for the police, for the days of the investigation. That father believed he had taken a life.
Even if it wasn't his fault, the weight of that would be crushing.
Unbearable.
But then, the investigation finishes, the autopsy comes back, and the story goes from a tragic accident to something else entirely.
Something out of a horror movie.
Yeah, it does. Because the coroner finds something impossible.
Yeah.
The source says the man was dead before he hit the pavement.
Let's just pause on that. The truck didn't kill him. The fall didn't kill him. He was a corpse before that van door even opened.
So the truck driver, he wasn't involved in a manslaughter. He was.
The disposal unit.
He was the weapon.
Precisely. This recontextualizes everything. This wasn't a murder in progress. This was a crime scene cleanup operation.
Why? Why go through all that trouble? I mean, in Indiana, there are cornfields for miles. There are rivers. If you have a dead body, why not just bury it somewhere? Why risk this high-speed maneuver with a witness right there?
That is the million-dollar question, and the answer, I think, lies in forensics.
Okay.
If you bury a body and it's found 5 years later, the bones can still tell a story. A bullet hole in a skull is still a bullet hole. A hyoid bone broken by strangulation is still broken.
The evidence persists.
Right. But think about what happens when a body is hit by a semi-truck at 65 miles an hour and then dragged, and then run over by 18 wheels.
It's catastrophic destruction.
It's total obliteration. It's what you might call a forensic countermeasure. The trauma from the truck is so massive, so destructive, that it completely masks the original cause of death.
So if he was shot, the crushing injuries hide the entry wound.
If he was beaten, the road rash and fractures obscure the pattern of the assault. They aren't just hiding the body, they're destroying the history of the body.
They're turning a murder victim into a traffic accident victim.
That is diabolical.
It's incredibly cold. And think about the risk versus the reward. Yes, being seen is a risk, but if it works, the police show up. They see a gruesome traffic fatality. They see a traumatized truck driver.
They're not immediately thinking homicide investigates.
No, they're measuring skid marks, checking the driver's log. By the time the autopsy reveals the truth, if it even can at that point, the van is 3 states away.
And the truck driver is the perfect patsy. He's right there. He's the distraction.
The one holding the bag.
Exactly. The police focus on him, on his truck. The van is a ghost. It just dissolves back into traffic.
The source uses that term, mob execution. Do you think that actually fits? Or is that just Reddit adding some flavor?
I think it fits the profile perfectly. This level of logistical planning, it doesn't happen in a crime of passion.
Right.
If a husband kills his wife in a rage, he doesn't then coordinate with a professional driver to pace a semi-truck. This requires a team. It requires a specific vehicle, a cargo van with that sliding door. It requires nerve.
It speaks to organized crime, professional criminals.
I think so. And the location, Indiana, the crossroads of America. That makes sense, too.
It's a logistics hub.
Legitimate commerce, sure, but also for illicit commerce. You have I-65, I-70, I-80. If you're moving drugs, money, people across the country, you're probably passing through Indiana. It's vast, it's dark, it's anonymous.
And there are plenty of trucks to choose from.
The trucks are the constant. They are reliable. A professional driver holds his lane, maintains his speed. He's predictable.
And that predictability is what they exploited.
They needed a machine that wouldn't swerve, and the truck driver provided that for them.
It just makes me think about that van again. The source doesn't say if they were ever caught.
And they likely weren't.
Why so confident?
Think about the driver's state of mind. He has just run over a human body. He is panic-braking, wrestling with a 40-ton vehicle. Is he trying to get the license plate of the van speeding away in the dark?
No way. He's looking at his mirror. He's looking at what's happening on the road behind him.
Exactly. The van is gone in seconds. And without a plate, a description like a dark van is completely useless.
The source says this was one of the father's scariest moments. And obviously the event itself is terrifying.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lingering fear there, too. The realization that you were used.
It's a violation. We all assume we have agency, that we're the main characters in our own lives. But in this scenario, the driver was just reduced to a tool.
He was no different to them than a wood chipper.
Or an incinerator. They didn't see him as a person. They saw him as a disposal mechanism. That kind of dehumanization that stays with you.
And just knowing that there are people out there capable of that, people who can drive alongside you, look at your truck, and think, perfect, there's my cover-up.
It just strips away that illusion of safety we all have. We think the rules of the road protect us, but there are people on that same asphalt playing by a completely different set of rules.
It brings up a really dark thought for me. The father in this story eventually found out the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the guy was already dead.
Right. It doesn't erase the trauma, but it absolves him of the act of killing.
What if he hadn't found out? Or, and this is even darker, what if this happens more often than we think, but the forensic countermeasures actually work better?
That's exactly where my head went.
Yeah.
If the damage to the body had been slightly worse, if the coroner had been a little less diligent, this would have been logged as a suicide. Man wanders on a highway.
And the truck driver lives the rest of his life thinking he killed a confused person. And the murderers get away scot-free.
And when you look at the statistics for highway deaths, thousands of people die on interstates every year. A huge number of those are pedestrians struck at night.
And you just assume it's a breakdown or someone disoriented.
But a story like this forces you to look at that data with a much more cynical eye. It makes you look at the skid marks on the highway differently.
We see a tragic accident report on the news. Pedestrian struck on I-65. And we think, how sad. We never think, was he already gone?
And we never think about the driver who is left to live with it, who unwittingly helped someone get away with murder.
The post ends so simply, just recounting the sickness the father felt. That physical reaction, I think that's the real takeaway. This wasn't a movie. It was a man doing his job who got dragged into a nightmare he could never wake up from.
And he carried that memory for 20 years, a burden that was forced onto him.
So next time you're on a long drive, maybe late at night, and you see those big rigs humming along in their lane, maybe you give them some room.
And just realize they might be seeing things in the dark that you're very, very lucky to miss.
Stay safe out there.
And watch your blind spots.
I want to leave you with one final uncomfortable thought to mull over. We talked about the twist, how the man was already dead. But what if the van driver had miscalculated?
How so?
What if they tossed the body and the truck driver did manage to swerve? What happens then? Does the van stop to finish the job? Or do they just keep driving, leaving a confused truck driver and a corpse on the side of the road? It just makes you realize how thin the line is between a perfect crime and total, utter chaos.
That is a disturbing possibility.
Until next time.
Keep the shiny side up and the shadows in your rear view. You've survived another grave shift. Over and out.